Good morning and a very warm welcome to our annual press conference 2026 of the Vorwerk Group. My name is Michael Weber, I'm head of corporate communications at Vorwerk, and I'm truly delighted to welcome you today. We are particularly pleased about the great interest of journalists in our press conference. We welcome media representatives from Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Italy, France, and Poland. All in all, we have more than 30 registrations by journalists, and we are very happy about that. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the employees of the Vorwerk Group, as well as to the whole Vorwerk community who follow us via live stream on our new corporate website. We have a lot in store for you, and this is where we're going to start right away, and it's worthwhile staying until the end because we have a surprise for you. A remark and a hint to the media representatives: after the presentations, there will be the possibility to ask questions. How we're going to proceed, I'm going to explain at the end. I'd like to introduce you to our panel. Welcome to our CEO, Dr. Thomas Stoffmehl, as well as to our CFO, Hauke Paasch, and we're going to start right away, and Thomas Stoffmehl will speak first. Thank you very much, dear Michael, and hello and good morning on the part of the two of us. We're looking forward to today's press conference. We would like to give you some insights into the business performance of Vorwerk over the last year, and as well as an outlook on what lies ahead in 2026. When we look back at 2025, we see more than just a very successful financial year. We see a year in which, once more, it has become very clear what makes Vorwerk strong at its core. And we see a year in which it has been demonstrated that our strategy 2030 is exactly addressing the right areas. For us, this strategy doesn't do away with what has made Vorwerk successful. On the contrary, it is the consistent further development of our strengths. By 2030, we aim to be the most attractive direct selling company in the world. And the past financial year was a successful step on this path. And 2025 has, in our view, clearly demonstrated something else. Vorwerk is successful because Vorwerk deliberately operates differently from many other companies. Different in our business model, different in the way we connect people, products, and communities, different in our approach to direct selling, and different too in the way we use technology. Because we don't believe that technology replaces people, we believe that technology strengthens personal interaction. At the heart of the way in which we see ourselves is our sweet spot. It is the combination of a strong community and product ecosystems that create authentic experiences. That might sound abstract at first, but it isn't, because this is precisely where our particular strength lies. We are not a manufacturer of products, and we do not simply sell products. We create product ecosystems and bring them to life and turn them into a real experience. And behind this lies a passionate community of advisors, customers, and employees who support and develop Vorwerk. And I'd like to use the opportunity on the part of the two of us to thank our community, not only for the commitment in 2025, but also for the great support when it came to developing the strategy and its future implementation. Our success happens when people enthuse other people. That is at the heart of our business model. And this is why we can rightly claim that this is not that Vorwerk is more successful than many other competitors in the market. And it is in an increasingly digital world where we see very clearly that people continue to seek guidance, trust, and personal experiences, particularly when it comes to premium products that require explanation. We are different, and that is precisely where our strength lies. And that is particularly evident in the development of our community. It is particularly pleasing that through consistent recruitment and attractive working conditions, we've once again succeeded in significantly expanding our international advisor base, increasing it to over 129,000 advisors by the end of the year. This means we have more than doubled the number since 2019, and 2025 was the 6th record year in a row. This very strong direct selling community is the driving force behind our growth. It brings the appeal of our products to life, builds a close relationship with our customers, and is a key differentiator in the competitive landscape. Because for us, one thing is clear. Growth does not happen in the abstract. Growth happens where people convincingly bring products into the everyday lives of others. Accordingly, advisors' growth is not a secondary aspect of our business model. It is the central growth driver of the Vorwerk Group. And that is precisely why the development of our advisors is far more than just a sales figure for us. It is an expression of the strength of our business model. And it is precisely in times of economic and geopolitical volatility that the particular resilience of this model becomes apparent. Whilst many companies are coming under greater pressure, we benefit from long-term thinking, personal customer proximity, and a strong community. Before we delve into the individual business and growth areas, we would like first to show you why we can say the consistent implementation of Strategy 2030 has already had a positive impact in its first year, and the figures provide clear evidence of this. Dear Hauke, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Thomas, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My presentation today on the results is split into two parts. I'm going to start with an overview of the group as a whole, and later, in a second part, I'm going to talk about the divisions and about the surprise Michael announced, and also about how we started in the first quarter of 2026. First of all, we are excited that we have a turnover which is a new record level of 3.6 billion euros. And this is not just a new record level in revenue, but this is an entirely new level beyond the threshold of 3.5 billion euros. What is especially great is that there was growth in revenue in all divisions in 2025. The main driver behind this was the new TM7. There was a leap in revenue of 446 million euros, or 14%. This was a significant leap within the last year, and this becomes especially obvious if you take a look at the development of revenues since 2020. The last years show a positive development already, and 2025 is exceptionally good. It becomes even more obvious if you take a look at the performance of the group without the influence of the business areas we sold. You see this in dark gray here. Between 2020 and 2023, there was a significant increase in revenue. The year 2024 was a transitory year, as we announced, and then we remained stable at a high level after that. 2025 shows very clearly that our Strategy 2030 and our business model sustains even when conditions are difficult. So we have a challenging market around us, so this development is remarkable. The year 2025 was characterized by geopolitical insecurities, a reluctance to buy, and a high volatility. Let's take a look at our operating result. It has increased significantly in 2025 as well. It has increased by 28.2%, so we're now looking at 278 million euros. So it's an increase of 71 million euros compared to the previous year. The group net profit was 104.6 million euros. This development shows clearly that we did not only have a positive development in our revenue in 2025, but also the entire profitability of the group. We want to continue this development, and that means that we want to sustainably increase the profit margin over the next years. The operating margin in 2025 was 7.7%, which meant an increase of 0.9% compared to the previous year. and that in spite of investments in the futures and the introduction of the TM7 in 2025. We want to reach the same margin level that we had in 2021-2023, which means 9% or higher. This means we keep enhancing our cost structures and increase our efficiency potentials in 2026, but also up to 2030. This is not a short-term program, but it's part of a comprehensive plan to become more digital and more efficient. We want both growth and profitability, and we want to develop them together. Let's take a look at our equity ratio. For us as a family-owned company, this is a crucial point because we want to be financially independent. Our equity ratio, including the AKF Bank, was at 27.4% in the last year, which is a plus of 0.4% points. This is a very solid equity base we're looking at. The equity ratio is at more than 45%. As a group, outside of the refinancing via AKF, we don't have any external credit lines, or almost any credit lines, which means our direct sellings model is completely debt-free. Since 2022, we generated more than 150 million euros in equity. That means we remain independent and can shape our future out of our own resources. This is the right path we're on, and 140 years of corporate history show that, and we're consistently going to stay on this path. One of the essential growth drivers of the last years was our international growth. In 2025, as a group, we generated about 58% of our revenue outside of Germany. It was even more than 70% in direct selling. Our traditional European market performed outstandingly. In spite of this success, we still need a broader international footprint to make sure we meet our ambitious goals of our 2030 strategy. Our credo is we invest in new markets that have a high potential. That is why in 2024 we opened 8 new markets: Greece, Benelux, Australia, New Zealand, Malaysia, and Singapore. And in 2025 it was also Vietnam. And we're really happy that those youngest members of our international family all perform outstandingly. And we had those market entries were a real growth driver. We increased our revenue from 23 million to 146 million. And this means they account for 28% of our revenue growth. And this success emphasizes that our business model is sustainable and scalable on an international level. And we have this path of international expansion, and we're going to continue on that path. I've talked a lot about internationalization, but of course I don't want to forget about Vorwerk Germany, because there was an increase in revenue at Thermomix of 26% last year, which is exceptionally positive. And please allow me to compliment all our colleagues for this outstanding performance. For further growth, we need internationalization, but also keep investing in our product quality and our products in general. Regarding our quality standards, what we want is a low repair quota and satisfied customers. In 2025, we had a repair quote below 0.4% at Thermomix, with 1.4 devices delivered. That means we are 25% below our own target. And this is an exceptional result, especially considering that we launched a completely new product with TM7. And with cobalt, it was even better. We were 55% below our own target. And this is not a coincidence. It's a result of investment in development, in production, and also in quality management. And also with our products, a lot has changed in 2025. We kept investing in our production and logistics structures in Europe, but also in Wuppertal. Specific examples are our second plant in France, for example, and the logistics center in France, which is currently being constructed. We make conscious decisions on the backdrop of a challenging market and ecosystem around us. We want to strengthen our brands, but also be energy efficient at the same time. Let me say thank you to all the colleagues who contributed to that. Our products are important for our success, but the entire power of our business model can only be seized if we have both product innovation, but also our strong direct selling model. And they need to go hand in hand. And that is exactly what we call sweet spot internally. So let me get back to you, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Hauke. Before I go into our individual business decisions, let me first take a step back and look at the foundation of our success. As Hauke rightly emphasized, that is direct selling. Because regardless of whether we are talking about Thermomix, Cobalt, or other business areas, they're all based on the same fundamental principle. Our growth stems from the convergence of personal advice, strong products, and a committed community. That is what sets us apart in the market. Whilst many business models are increasingly relying on purely transactional platform-based approaches, we believe in the power of personal interaction and in entrepreneurial opportunities for our advisors. And this model works, both nationally and internationally, as we've just heard, given the numbers of the financial year. According to the DSN Global 100 ranking, we've climbed to third place worldwide. That is something we are very proud of. At the same time, we are continuously refining this model. The key question for us is how we can develop it in a targeted manner. Because growth does not come about solely through reach, but through the ability to inspire lasting enthusiasm for our products and our business model. But of course, in an increasingly digital environment, the same question arises time and again. What role does technology play in a business model like ours? Our response to this is clear. We do not see technology as replacing personal interaction. On the contrary, we use technology where it strengthens our model and our USP. Digital services, content, and new features expand the ecosystem and our offer. They make the user experience more convenient, relevant, and personalized. With the term Thermomix in particular, we can see very clearly today that success is no longer defined by hardware alone. What matters is the interplay between the appliance, the digital experience, content, and personal advice and demonstration. Technology complements, it will keep on complementing, we will keep on being innovative, but it will not replace. And we are firmly convinced that in an increasingly digital world, personal interaction is not losing its importance, but is becoming more valuable, and the success shows that we are right. And that is precisely why for us, direct selling is not a model of the past, but a model with a future. When we talk about direct sales as a growth model, we would like to start by discussing Cobalt, as this is currently a particular focus for us, as you know from last year's press conference. Don't worry, I'll be talking about the Thermomix. Usually we talk more about the Thermomix as we talk about the Cobalt. This is why it's important to say where we are. Cobalt in 2025 had a solid year. And the division achieved sales of 790 million euros, which is slightly higher than the previous year.
At the same time, however, we must also be clear, with this development, we are not yet where we want to be in the long term. And we are realistic about this. In a highly competitive environment, we have not managed in recent years to unleash the full potential of this brand. And this is not a structural problem, but it's a clear call to action. And we've addressed this with our Cobalt strategy. And that is precisely why Cobalt is a central focus of our strategy 2030. We have deliberately used 2025 to address the fundamentals and not just optimize the short-term results. It's about the appeal of the advisor role. It's about further developing the business model. And we have also asked ourselves where we as a company have limited ourselves. Whilst we focused on a flexible and low-threshold access for advisors at Thermomix, the Cobalt model was historically much more restrictive. And we are currently changing that step by step. We are opening up the model more to different life circumstances, different working models, and new approaches to the advisor role. Because we want to generate growth in the number of advisors using our existing structures, because we want to leverage the brand's growth potential much more. And we already see the sales productivity which has risen, even if we're not yet where we want to be. And this confirms our approach. The levers are clear, and now it's a matter of implementation. And we can see very clearly that Cobalt's potential is considerably higher than the current development reflects so far. And I say this very clearly, we believe in Cobalt and the growth potential behind it. And that is why we are treating this issue with a high priority and high determination. If we take a look at the markets where our model is already working very well, one example is Switzerland, where we have succeeded in generating disproportionately strong growth in revenue of around 18% for Cobalt. This means that the market approach and the community work together effectively. And to this end, we would like to switch to Switzerland. There is an award called Market of the Year, and this is an award that we present as a part of our annual international kickoff event. And the Market of the Year award goes to the market that has exceeded our ambitious global growth targets the most. And in 2025, that was Switzerland. So I'm really delighted to welcome Sandra Jossin, our General Manager in Switzerland. She's been part of Vorwerk for many years. She began her career with us over 25 years ago in marketing, in the marketing department of Vorwerk France. Dear Sandra, very warm welcome. Thank you very much, Thomas, for the introduction. And grüezi wohl from Switzerland. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Sandra Jossin, and I'm the General Manager of Vorwerk in Switzerland. Vorwerk has been operating in Switzerland since 2019, and we have a truly challenging market because the customers in Switzerland have very high expectations regarding quality, service, advice, and product experience. At the same time, the competition is fierce and the customers are very price sensitive and quality oriented. But especially with these market requirements, this is a perfect fit for our business model, for our direct selling model. This makes us successful. It's all based on personal advice, trust, and long-term customer relationships. And that is precisely why Vorwerk's positive performance in Switzerland is a strong proof for the strengths of the business model. We benefit from a strong community in Switzerland, and particularly in an increasingly digital and anonymous environment, personal advice is extremely important to many customers. And this is where we see this sweet spot Thomas mentioned. It shows all its power and strength because it shows personal advice, a strong community of advisors, but also customers. Then we have our premium products, the digital services, and all this within an integrated product ecosystem, both for Thermomix and Cobalt. By focusing on our strengths, we have succeeded in achieving further and above all, sustainable growth in a market that was supposedly saturated. I'm particularly proud of the development of cobalt, because in 2025 we succeeded to increase our revenue by 17.6% to 7 million euros. And this makes Cobalt Switzerland one of the largest growth markets in the cleaning sector within all of Europe. At the turn of the year, we laid further important organizational and sales foundations to even better leverage the growth potential of cobalt. And also in the Thermomix division, we're really happy with the development. We've increased our net sales 3.6-fold since 2019 to 71 million euros. This makes us one of the top 5 most profitable Thermomix markets worldwide. The fact that we've been named Market of the Year for 2025 is a fantastic accolade for the whole team. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all once again for the amazing cooperation within our team. And one thing is clear, we can be proud, and there's more to come.
Dear Sandra, thank you so much for these insights, and congratulations once more for the Market of the Year award. And I'm sure you're going to try to defend this title. Definitely. Let's now talk about Thermomix in a little more detail. And I believe it's not exaggerated to say that the launch of the TM7 was the most successful launch at Vorwerk ever, and of course a defining moment for Vorwerk in 2025. With more than 1 million units shipped in the first year, the TM7 is the most successful product launch in our company's history. In total, in 2025, we sold more than 1.4 million Thermomix units, TM6 and TM7, and we are extremely proud of this. But what I would like to particularly emphasize is that the success of the TM7 tells more than just the story of a strong product. Above all, it tells the story of a strong business model, because the Thermomix is not simply a hardware product. It is embedded in an ecosystem comprising the Thermomix as centerpiece of a connected kitchen, Cookie Do with its digital content and service and personal advice from our approximately thousands and thousands of advisors globally. And that, in our view, sets us apart from many of our competitors. Whilst others primarily try to sell appliances, we combine product, digital experience, content, community, and personal demonstration and interaction. What we saw in 2025 is the momentum and the power of our sweet spot. If all the necessary components come together, a convincing product, an ecosystem that delivers value, and a community that carries this enthusiasm into the market from one human being to another, that is the crucial point for us. And this is why the TM7 is not considered in an isolated manner as a product innovation, but as how much we've been able to scale our business model nationally and internationally. And this dynamism can be seen in the growth markets, as we've already been presented with. We opened these markets, and we also took over some distributing structure. And this also applies to a special market we're going to hear from now, Australia and New Zealand. These markets have developed exceptionally well and are currently amongst the most dynamic Thermomix markets within the Vorwerk Group. And this confirms very clearly that our direct selling model works internationally, provided the product, community, market approach, and sales work together consistently. I'm delighted to now bring in Philipp Grundler from Australia, our general manager from Australia. It's a very different time of the day in where you are. It's almost night. Philipp, for more than 10 years, has been part of the Vorwerk Group and has held various international management and finance roles within the group. And in 2024, you moved from Austria to Australia, where in 2024 you took on the role of a general manager. Hello to Down Under. Good evening. Yes, hello.
Guten Abend. Vielen Dank, Thomas.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Thomas and Hauke. I'm delighted to be here today and send you greetings from Melbourne or Down Under, respectively. My name is Philipp Grundler, and I'm the general manager of Vorwerk in Australia and New Zealand. And today I'd like to give you a brief overview of developments in these two markets. Vorwerk significantly expanded its presence in Australia and New Zealand at the end of 2023 through the acquisition of The Mix. The Mix previously had been the largest independent Thermomix distributor worldwide for 23 years, and was one of the most successful direct-selling companies in Australia. With this acquisition, Vorwerk did not build the market from scratch, but rather integrated and strategically developed an already very strong community, high brand awareness, and an established organizational structure. The integration was an important strategic step as part of the Vorwerk Group's international expansion. The aim was to link the strong local market position even more closely with the Vorwerk Group's global resources, innovation processes, and digital ecosystems. And at the same time, this laid the foundations for further accelerating growth across the entire Asia-Pacific region. And yet another important milestone was our decision to relocate the headquarters from Perth to Melbourne in Australia. And this new location brings Vorwerk geographically closer to the community structures, to its customer groups, and to the major metropolitan areas. At the same time, Melbourne offers excellent conditions in terms of infrastructure, talent, innovation, and international networking. This decision underlines Vorwerk's long-term commitment to the sustainable development of the Australian market, and with great success, I dare say. Developments over the past few months have impressively confirmed our strategic course. Australia and New Zealand are now among the Vorwerk Group's most dynamic growth markets. And looking at the Thermomix sales, we can say that we almost sold twice as many units in 2025 as compared to 2024. And why so? The key factor was our strong growth, advisors' growth, which we had 2,000 at the end of 2024, and in 2025, the peak was more than 5,500 advisors, and this was a growth of almost 180%. I think that this says it all, and it makes us extremely proud. Both markets belong to the strongest internationally growing markets. A key factor in this success is and will keep on being the Thermomix community and the sweet spot, the close combination of personal advice, product experience, cookie dough, and the digital ecosystem. And I'd like to conclude my remarks, though not without saying thank you, a full-hearted thank you to my team in Australia and New Zealand, and to the advisors for their passion and their daily commitment. Without you, none of this would be possible.
Thank you very much. This was really impressive. And let me just say good night, sleep well. And I'll leave the floor to Hauke once again. He's going to take a look at the figures per division. Exactly. Thank you, Thomas. Let's take a look at the development of our business divisions. We see that the culinary division, which is Thermomix and Bimby, was accounting for 59% of our total revenue. This means once again, this is our largest division and shows a very positive development. Then we have cleaning, which is Folletto and Cobalt, contributes 22% to the total turnover. Thomas already said there was an increase in revenue, but we still need some changes, structural changes, to achieve a higher growth rate. For the AKF group, we have 18%, and 2025 was another year of solid growth. And I'm going to show you more on the next slides. Let's take a look at the business divisions. Culinary, we've achieved a record revenue of around 2.1 billion euros in 2025, making it the clear growth driver. The growth in this segment stands at around 23.5%. 7.9% compared to the previous year. The main driver was the launch of the Thermomix TM7, which was the most successful product launch in the company's history, with over 1 million units delivered. And at the same time, and this is really important, the ecosystem is growing. Cookie-Doo has now more than 6 million subscribers worldwide. This shows that we are not just scaling one product, but an integrated ecosystem. And this is also very important for us financially speaking. Cleaning has generated a revenue of 790 million euros and is growing slightly by 1.7%. This is a stable performance in a competitive environment, but we still see potential here. And Thomas has already explained this. We need increased sales activity through a rising number of consultants. The AKF Group has once again achieved a record revenue of 673 million euros and is growing by 4.6%. Those are the results of 2025, and we can really be proud of these results. And now let me say a few words about the AKF. And I think this is more than deserved, because the AKF Group is sometimes somewhat overshadowed by the Thermomix and Cobalt, even though it has consistently achieved excellent results in recent years.
AKF increased new business by 6.8% last year to 1.371 billion this year, and I've already been speaking about the increased turnover. At the same time, AKF has managed to maintain its interest margin consistently above 3% throughout the interest rate cycles of recent years, and thus to deliver consistently good operating results with low risk costs. For us, therefore, AKF is more than just a successful business division. It is a vital and strong part of our family and a key driver of growth. This is why, as part of our strategy 2030, we've given the AKF Group greater autonomy and freedom, for instance, with their own vision and mission. Whilst AKF have previously appeared somewhat detached from Vorwerk visually, we are delighted that as a part of our new brand identity, which I'm pleased to present to you today as a surprise, it is now also moving closer to the Vorwerk Group visually. You see the new lettering here in green. It's a clear hint that AKF is a proud part of the Vorwerk Group. In one respect, however, the AKF Group is no different from our other businesses, and that is the values we live by every day. Passion and innovative drive for solutions. We oftentimes see standardization, comparability, and process logic in many areas, even in the banking sector today. AKF have consciously chosen a different path. They focus on industry understanding, on personal advice, and genuine partnerships. We opt for solutions designed with the specific needs of our clients in mind. And this is why, together with our colleagues at AKF, we have distilled a new brand proposition. And you see it here, the bank that's different because it really makes a difference for its customers. We design for holistic solutions that infuse. With that, AKF stands for advice and passion, customer proximity, and long-term planning and stability. And this is why AKF fits Vorwerk so well, and we are proud that they are a successful part of the Vorwerk Group. At the same time, however, the new brand launch serves to highlight the specialist expertise more clearly by giving each sales division its own distinct color scheme and visual identity. After all, the teams at AKF Bank work in different divisions to pool their specific expertise in those areas. Each division in future will be able to raise its public profile even further and will be visually recognizable at a glance. AKF Service Lease, furthermore, is being renamed AKF Mobility, a name that better reflects the company's expanded cross-mobility service portfolio and offering. On July 1st, AKF will make its debut in its new look on redesigned websites and gradually in all sales and marketing materials. We are very much looking forward to seeing the results of this intensive project work in action in a few weeks' time. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all my colleagues at AKF and Vorwerk once again who participated in drawing this up. It was a great team effort, and it was also a pleasure in doing it. This almost brings me to the end of my explanation. There's just one last question. How did 2026 start at Vorwerk? And I'd like to look at the first quarter's results together with you. And I can say that we can be proud of the results. Turnover is 897 million, it's above our expectations, and 150 million above the years 2024 and 2025. But we have to say that if we compare it to 2025, it's impacted by the launch of the TM7 in the first quarter, of course, so it's not a fair comparison. The operating margin in the first quarter is at the level of 2024, clearly exceeding the levels of 2025. And this is also characterized by the TM7 launch, of course. It is in spite of these excellent results that we have to be focused, and we are not euphoric. We see risks and opportunities in the macroeconomic environment and regarding the cost side, material costs, growth, and the impact of the war in Iran. But still, the first quarter is a good starting point for another strong Vorwerk year 2026. And this brings me to the end of my explanations, and I give the floor back to Thomas. Thank you very much, Hauke.
Now, let's get back to the essentials. As a part of Strategy 2030, we have adopted a clear vision. We want to become the world's most attractive direct selling company. And the basis is the same. We are not chasing trends. We are focusing on a strong community and on distinctive product ecosystems. Our success comes from where people, products, and community come together. We have big plans for 2026 too. We are ambitious, and we are working with great passion to achieve our goals. This includes actively tackling challenges, refining structures, and consistently developing Vorwerk in line with our 2030 strategy. We are convinced that we are on the right track, and we look to the future with confidence. We are different, I've explained that, and this is precisely the foundation for further growth and success.